Go.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast brought to you by Seat Tires. This is DJ from London and I've got with me my two co-podcasters Varun and Ashwin. Ashwin's in the US, Varun's in Singapore, and we are pleased to be doing this episode live. It's really exciting every time we do a live episode, right? We've kind of waited on purpose to let the 2 day test match sink in a little bit, kind of get some of the reaction and stuff. I'm going to come to you first, Ashwin. Ashwin, how are you feeling after that 2 day international?
The last time we had a 2-day international, we were at part of it, right? In England, when India's match against New Zealand got split across 2 days. Of course, that was an ODI that became 2 days. This was a 5-day match that became 2 days. It's weird, actually. I was thinking about it this morning. It's a little weird having waited 2 days to record the show because of how much the emotions have gone up and down, from everything we'll talk about, from the excitement of a victory to the criticism of a pitch, to realizing I had set aside my mornings on Saturday and Sunday to watch day 4 and 5, and now there's nothing to watch. So, obviously feeling good, glad to be 2-1 up, glad to have knocked England out of the World Test Championship final. Not so happy with all the conversation that's going on, but I'm sure you'll take us through all of that in detail.
Oh yeah, we're going to get massively into it. I mean, all the pitch chatter, all the spin chatter, all of that's going to happen. But Varun, how are you doing, man? How's life in Singapore at the moment?
It's good, man. Good. As you say, every Friday I go for cocktails, a martini gram. So life is not bad. I can't complain in Singapore. And yeah, before we start, I think we should just say that India won by 10 wickets, right? I think that's the most important thing. That's the result amongst all the other chatter that's been going on. So very happy India won by 10 wickets. It's 2-1 up for India. I think I had predicted 3-1. So I think I'm in the running for a win on the prediction.
It's just good. We could still draw the fourth match. I'm still alive. I predicted 2-1, so it's good. It's possible. DJ's the only one who's out, basically.
Yeah, so I'd said 3-0, thinking that England won't win a test match, so I'm out. But I mean, let's just quickly talk about the two milestones, right? That we got into this test match. Ishant was playing his 100th test match. He picked up the first wicket of the game. Really great delivery. Congratulations to Ishant for getting to 100 tests, which is a huge achievement for an Indian seamer, man. I mean, it's just great. And Ravi Chandran Ashwin, I mean, how much do we talk about that man on this show? And we're going to talk even more as we go on because he went past 400 test match wickets. It's an achievement and a half, man. I mean, there's only one man quicker than him in the history of test cricket to have done it. And we will get straight into that. Sorry. Um, we will get into that when we come to the next bat with Seat giveaway. But let's get there when we can. Let's start right from the top, guys. Let's start from the uh, selection by the two teams, right? I was sat here 2 weeks ago and I was talking about maybe we'll play four seamers. We saw that green pitch. We talked about the pink ball. Last week, I brought it down to three seamers. Then, when I was speaking one day before the test match to our friends at Couch Pundits, what we like to call the crossover sledge pundits, I said, well, England are going to get a turning pitch. Maybe we'll just play three spinners. And that's what we went with. England, on the other hand, went with three quicks: Broad, Archer, Anderson. All of them played. Ashwin, let's go to you first on that. What did you make of their selection on the third test match, going for three seamers?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? It's hindsight. It's very easy to look back. I was trying to pull the numbers, but in the India first innings with the ball, Ishant and Bumrah bowled 11 overs out of 48. In the second, they didn't bowl a single one, right? 15 overs from Aksar, 15 from Ashwin, and 0.4 from Sundar. So Bumrah was getting his workload management rest, as Kohli said, despite being on the field. But look, you can't blame England, right? They got it wrong in hindsight, but the pink ball has historically helped seamers. So they essentially, I think the simplest explanation is they played more for the ball than they did for the conditions, the history of the city, the history of the country, right? You tour India, you should expect spin, period. That's how it goes. And so I think, Joe Root will say they made the wrong call, but I get why they did given the ball. But it's weird to see Broad, Archer and Anderson out there and bowling a combined total of 0 overs in the second innings. And what was it? 24 overs in the first innings for 1 wicket, which Archer got. So bizarre.
Varun, do you almost think that England prepared for the night part of this day-night test and forgot about the day part? Because I mean, they got bowled out twice during the day, right? And if you remember, 36 all out, that was during the day as well. So are teams failing to prepare for the day part of this day-night test match?
That's interesting. That's an interesting question. But I think the teams are getting so obsessed with this pink ball and what it has done in the past, and we don't have that much data to go by, right? We had said it's only second match in India ever. I know England has played some before. I don't know the exact number, but I think teams have just got obsessed with this pink ball. It's great marketing. It's great PR value. It creates a talking point for Test cricket. But at the end of the day, you can't change your fundamentals. So what I think happened with the selection is that England probably realized that even before the tour started, all the chat, this is just my opinion, all the chat was around the fact that we need to have our three seamers ready for that pink ball test. Now, that what that means is one needs to be dropped, one needs to be rested. Some games two are not going to play, but whatever happens, it's all for this pink ball test because we're going to blow India away in that with our three seamers. So I think this was a pre-planned move, and they didn't kind of adapt to the situation. India, on the other hand, I think realized that as the game got closer, that this is not a three-seamer pitch, but they had nightmares about their 36 all out with the pink ball. So suddenly, for the first time in history of Indian cricket that I can remember, for not first time in history, but for a long time, India is batting all the way down to number 10. If you count Ishan Sharma can defend the ball, so suddenly you're looking at the batting lineup. We're like Akshar is at 9, Ashwin is at 8, Washington Sundar is at 7. I mean, this is the lineup that we've all been talking about for a long time. So both teams kind of had a planned this from before, and I think that's how they approached it.
Ashwin, I'm going to come to you on this. Again, we're sticking with selections because we're going to try and go chronologically through the 2 day test match. There's still a lot to talk about for what ended in less than 2 days, right? But did England get put too much? Because they were talk about licking the seamers are licking their lips with this pink ball and it's seaming and swinging everywhere in the nighttime sessions. Did they fail to did they put too much emphasis on those practice sessions that they saw the ball swinging around at and failed to actually look at the test match pitch itself and figure out it's an abrasive surface that's going to spin?
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, there's the other school of thought that says each team plays to their strength, right? England doesn't have great spinners right now, right? Adil Rashid arguably was a good player when they last toured. He doesn't play the red ball cricket anymore, or pink ball, I guess. And Moeen has gone back on his as part of the mandatory or the board's work management rotation policy, etc. So they don't have great spinners. So one part of it is, yeah, play for your strength. The other part is just, this is now part of the pre-match hype, right? Social media. I mean, I think in a big way, it started with that Kohli clip, was it in Australia, where you could just hear the ball hitting the willow so loud and like thunderous. And so now part of the pre-match hype is not just what the captain says at the press conference, but it's what the social media teams are leaking about bowling in the nets, and they're trying to intimidate and cause pressure. So I think England was trying to do that, and credit to them. Not a bad idea. It didn't come off this time, but not a bad idea to start trying to intimidate Kohli and Shastri by showing clips of Anderson getting a ton of swing in the net. Fair play.
Varun, what does it say about Dom Bess? Just the last question on selection. What does it say about Dom Bess and the confidence England have in him as a spinner, right? He's picked up 4 wickets in the first test match. Some would say lucky. But if he isn't playing on that pitch, I mean, when are they going to play this young bowler?
Yeah, I think they started off so well with him in the first test. In India, you have to play two spinners, and then I don't know what happened. Either they thought Joe Root can fill in part time, and we'll talk about more about Joe Root's bowling in this particular test. But I think they just missed a trick, right? I mean, I've seen some previous English cricketers even comment on Twitter saying that against the best team in the world, you got your selection majorly wrong, and I mean, whether it's Dom Bess, whether it's somebody else, I really believe they should have played two spinners.
Yeah, and they got the selection wrong. Of course, the bubble chat all played into that. You had Joss Butler going back home. There is the argument. I mean, a lot of pundits. I mean, we're going to talk about the English pundits a lot on this one. We could almost call it pitch pundits, this show. But um, a lot of it was about how Joss Butler's gone back home. He shouldn't have gone back home. They should have played their best test. But I mean, there's a feeling that England are emphasizing on the short form of the game because all of these players are going to come back, right? at the expense of the long form of the game, with not playing their best 11, so to speak. But I mean, I don't want to get into all of that because that's just, I think the answer to all of this selection stuff is England got the selection wrong. It became very clear in hindsight. Um, I personally don't think there was that much of an issue playing the three best bowlers that they had. I've always said it's the best shot of winning. All of the signs, I think, in theory pointed towards that, but they just failed to read the pitch. Now, having got the pitch chat out of the way, I want to move to the next chronological thing that we come to, which is the toss, right? A lot of it is about win the toss, win the match, win the toss, win the match. That's really, if you win the toss in India, win the match. Ashwin, I know you have a lot of feelings about the toss. Um, Obviously, England won the toss here. They batted first. They got 112 in that first innings, Ashwin. Um, Talk me through the importance of the toss. I mean, is this a situation where we talked about like last week, where the toss was not that important because the ball was turning from day one? Or do you think England completely squandered the best of the conditions that they had?
Yeah, I mean, what you'll hear, we've been hearing, at least I've been hearing in the media for the last couple of days, is the second test match, India won the toss, won the match, so toss must have mattered. The third test match, England won the toss, India won the match. So here, toss didn't matter as much, right? So it's very easy to create the narrative you want when your team does a certain way or doesn't do. And by the way, I think we're all guilty of that to an extent. We do that with India too, as India
Oh
fans.
yeah, absolutely. And I want to be clear because I want the reason we've recorded this 3 days later is to give a more balanced view, because otherwise the initial emotion is just like stop crying, you lost, shut up and move on with your life. You can't play spin. We won, you lost, over. But the reason we're doing it 3 days later is to give a more reasoned, balanced, nuanced argument to it. So yeah, sorry I interrupted, but carry on.
No, I mean, to an extent, that's still my argument. It's like, stop crying. We won. We've outplayed you. You don't know how to play spin. So I don't know how much more balanced I am 3 days later personally. But look, I don't know. To the question, it'd be interesting to see the stats. But over the years, not just in India, but anywhere you play, the toss has started to play a bigger and bigger role. I personally, I've said this to you before, DJ, I think um, the toss plays a bigger role the shorter the format gets, right? So for a while in T20 and in IPL, the team batting second always won. I think if I was looking correctly, in the PSL that's going on now, the team batting second won the first 9 games. And so, the longer the game gets, the more forgiving it should be relative to the toss. I mean, obviously it didn't matter in this case, right? England won the toss, batted. I think when we look at 112 all out, people lose sight of the fact that they were 73 for 2. I watched the highlights again last night just to refresh or prepare myself. Zach Crawley was batting beautifully. He got to a quick fire 50. He was hitting some nice clean drives. I think it was 50 off 60 something balls, or maybe 70 balls. He was batting really well. I think we were all nervous at 74 for 2. And then the collapse happened. So suddenly you start saying, what happened? After exactly 21.4 overs on day one, the pitch, boom, like lightning struck and the pitch went really bad? No, obviously not. The batting collapsed. And so I'll stop it there for now. But I don't think the Indians team has let the toss up matter as much as it would historically. But again, toss and pitch are so closely correlated.
Yeah, I mean, of course. And you brought up a great point about it being 74 for 2. Ashwin, you actually tweeted out about Kohli's captaincy bringing Akshar on. Talk me through Akshar Patel's performance in this game. I mean, I know Akshar means alphabet in Hindi, right? But I'm pretty sure when it comes to England's batsmen, he had their number.
Yeah, I mean, wicket on the first ball. That was a good line. That one for the history books. But
I prepared it this week, just like Varun. I could see him
oh
smile.
no, I thought that was just off the cuff. It would have been more fun if it was off the cuff. But yeah, a wicket on the first ball. I think he got a wicket for the first ball both innings in this match, which is just incredible, right? So full credit to Kohli. I think he read, there's a left hand right hand dynamic where when Root was batting, obviously he wanted to bring on Akshar. Eventually, Ashwin got him out, but it's just phenomenal. I think when you can play your two spinners who both turn the ball the opposite directions, and Akshar is just such a disciplined bowler. That's what I loved about him, right? I probably understated him. I thought before the series started, I didn't think he could be a replacement for Jadeja, period. He hasn't yet been the replacement for Jadeja we needed with the bat, but with the ball, I mean, zero questions about his talent and skill. I'm happy as a Delhi Capitals fan, but yeah, just the discipline, and he just pulled every single ball in those first 2 or 3 overs on the exact same spot. And, half of them turned, half didn't, and he got wickets off the straighter balls. So he basically outthought the British batsman.
Yeah, I found it particularly brilliant how he was spinning it in and he was kind of spinning it away, and then the ball was coming back in. There was just brilliant bowling, very fast. He kind of bowls round arm as well a little bit. He's taller than Jadeja, so just absolutely brilliant. Took 11 wickets in this game. I mean, Test cricket is an easy game for Akshar Patel, and is he Akshar or is he Aksar? Because it was pretty often that he was taking wickets, which is the other meaning of the word Aksar, right? Like Aksar wicket leta hai. Anyway, but just a brilliant performance. But all the chatter, right? I mean, we're going to talk about skills and we're going to talk about spinners, but the entire thrust of the discourse around this game has been about the pitch. Okay, Varun, I'm going to come to you on this one. We're going to go through this for all the criticisms and all the theories that have been put forward. And I've been listening to a lot of podcasts over the last 3 days, actually, about, and various people have said various things. KP on Talking Sport has said stuff. Of course, other people have countered it and been unhappy with it. Sky Sports has put out a great podcast. But Varun, in your mind, is a 2-day test match a good advertisement for test cricket? Let's start with that question.
Yeah, first, DJ, I want to say congrats. Your puns are on point today. Like, if you start making pre-planned jokes, I don't know what my value is going to be in this
And
podcast.
the listeners are enjoying them too. I think both Nandan and Dhawal have appreciated the jokes in the comments. So let's put that
Yeah,
out there.
well done. Like, that's like you've now set me back to like plan for a week to write new jokes for next week. Um, anyway, uh, what was your question again? Sorry, man. I was so like excited with the
Blown
puns.
away by the
Too
jokes.
distracted by the Akshar jokes.
I was asking, is a 2-day test match a good
Oh, today.
advertisement for
I mean,
test cricket?
I think this is where you guys are a little bit more passionate about this than
Militant
me. Yeah,
is the word you're
militant
looking
Yeah,
is.
for.
you
I
can say
was I was
militant.
trying
That's
not
the
to
word.
use it. I think I personally don't think a 2-day test match is great as an advertisement for for test cricket. Personally, as a fan, it's not something I want to see. I am excited about watching 4 or 5 days of test cricket. I'm invested in it. I mean, the kind of cricket we've seen over the last 3 months with India involved in tests has been fantastic. So personally, not a fan. Now, when you come down to talking about why this test ended in 2 days, uh, the pitch was not the best pitch in the world. The pitch was not the worst pitch in the world. So I have to say that I believe it was slightly below average, right? That's my opinion. But again, the same pitch was used for both teams. And it's not like it deteriorated in day two, right? You talk about that happening around day five. Uh, the team chasing has a much tougher situation, much tougher task. So that didn't happen either. So I think it was just as Kohli said, both teams' batsmen were extremely poor. They didn't apply themselves. Look, they said what 20 of the 30 wickets were from straight balls. I mean that
21.
21,
Yeah.
yeah, 21 out of 30 were from straight balls. That's a crazy stat for me. So um, anyway, to answer your question simply, it's not a great advertisement to finish in 2 days, but at the same time, I don't think the kind of justification is of about. I don't think what the English have been saying about the pitch is justified.
Fair point. And I don't think that it's. So, personally, I don't think a 2-day test match is a great advertisement. And I would agree with that. I mean, it's meant to last 5 days, or it's a maximum of 5 days, but we'd like to see it finish on day 3 or day 4 at the very minimum, right? But I don't think it's fatal to the game of test cricket. And that's what I want to come to. It's being made out like India is killing test cricket with these pitches. The balance between bat and ball is gone, all of this stuff.
Yeah,
Ashwin, I want to come. Yeah,
I read
sorry.
something that said India is making Test cricket a freak show by putting having 2-day games. I mean, that's ridiculous, right?
So this is what makes me so angry, and I'm going to come to Ashwin because I know he has the same extreme. So I've been angry for the last 3 days, and I wanted to do this podcast for 3 days, but I've held on just listening to all of this happening. Right? You are. I mean, there is a complete bias against spinning wickets. I admit 2-day test matches is not a great look. Right? I get it, but you must see how test wicket plays in the context of the players and the batting that has been taking place. I don't agree with Virat Kohli that this was a very good test wicket and it was good to bat on in the first innings. I don't agree with that. That is exaggeration, and it's putting the point too simply. I actually think that this was a tough, challenging wicket, probably below average, almost close to poor. But this is an England team that has been bowled out for less than 105 times in the last 5 years, right? Since 2016, Harsha Bhogle posted that they've been bowled out for less than 100. You get bowled out against Ireland for 85 at Lords, and you then bowl them out on day three for 38. That pitch, Ashwin, was rated as average. And here we are being told India is killing Test cricket. India has only produced this wicket because India wants to be in the World Test Championship final. Why? I mean, we want to win to get to the World Test Championship final. Virat Kohli's come out and said a billion times that he is most interested in Test cricket. He's a huge fan of Test cricket. If if India didn't care about Test cricket and wanted to kill Test cricket, would they have produced these pitches to try and win the game? They're going for the win to get to the final, and that I would argue is good for Test cricket. It is the best thing that can happen for Test cricket for India and Indians to be interested in Test cricket. Sorry, that's a bit of a rant.
I'm not even sure I could add much. That was great, right? It was, the anger. This is the beauty of doing this on video. Sometimes the anger shows through your eyes too. We can see it, not just hear it in your voice. But it's true. I mean, I don't disagree with anything you've said. I think what I was trying to remember, and I did in December when I don't remember which one was it, Sydney. The on day morning of day two, or even on day one, there was some spin. Lyon and Ashwin were both getting some spin, and I remember going onto our Twitter handle and tweeting, saying how Shane Warne and the annoying crew of Australian commentators in that match basically said how incredible to have a pitch that gives something for the seamers and the spinners on day one. Just phenomenal, praise, full of praises. And I remember tweeting saying something like, save this tweet because when this happens and the ball spins on day one in India, it's going to be the worst thing in the world. And when it happens in Australia, it's the greatest thing in the world. Now, there's a lot of different parallels, right? I'm not saying the pitch at Ahmedabad was good either. I'm not saying it was justifiably above average or anything like that. But there is a very clear double standard. And let's say it. Let's put it out there. Let's say it when it comes to the white countries and the non-white countries, when it comes to playing cricket, as to what defines a good pitch. And Ashwin said it in the press conference, and I was so excited and proud that he did. Who defines a good pitch? Why do we define a good pitch as seaming on day one, good, easy flat batting on day two and three, and then spinning on day 4 and 5? That's the quote unquote tradition that has come from the English, gone through the Aussies, now is, similar in, let's call it South Africa, to an extent New Zealand. We prepare pitches that work for us at home. I'm again not defending that 2 days is good cricket, but there's a ridiculous double standard in the media when it comes to India preparing pitches that work for our players and let's call it all of the South Asian countries versus England and the Sena countries, as they're called, preparing pitches for them. So let's call a spade a spade. I'm glad Ashwin did as a player. He did it very eloquently, probably less angrily or passionately than you and me, DJ, but he did a great job. And that's the truth. There is a double standard and we need to find a way to address it and get past it. India is sure as hell not killing Test cricket, where we want, like you said, we want to do well. We want to be in the World Test Championship final. The first Test match in India went to 5 days. The Gabba went to 5 days. The SCG went to 5 days. We are playing a lot of 5-day cricket. Don't let this one poor performance with the bat by both teams distract us. So that's the end. I'm done.
And when India got 36 all out, none of us said it was the pitch. Not one of us, right? I didn't read anything about that. So we stood up, we accepted this was a poor performance. We were very scared about what's going to happen after that with Kohli leaving, but none of us, not one of us, actually said the pitch was really bad.
And to add to
Yeah,
that,
and we
there
talk
was a
about
Joburg
sorry, go on.
test. Sorry, there was a Joburg test that was 3 days, one of which was rained out. So 2 days of Test cricket. There was a match in New Zealand, I forget which ground, 475 overs, which is 2 days worth of overs plus 25 overs, 2 days and less than one session, right? Why weren't we up in arms saying New Zealand is killing Test cricket, South Africa is killing Test cricket, 2 days is bad for the soul of the sport, etc.? Like, we didn't react. Maybe we should, but we don't want to. Kohli at the time at Joburg said, "I'm not talking about the pitch. We've come here to fight and fight hard, and we need to do better with the conditions we're given." Period.
Yeah, and that Kohli clip has been circulating, and Ravi Shastri has said as well. I mean, there's a meme about him, right, which says, "Pitch ko nikalo yahan se. To hell with the pitch. I don't care about the pitch." But that is the mindset that this team has been given. Rohit Sharma's come out and said, "We play on what we are given." I mean, it was 2 months ago, right? We're talking about 36 all out. What was our chat? Our chat was not, oh, the pitch was seaming and it was moving, or the ball was doing all of this. Our chat was Prithvi Shaw's got deficiency in his technique. Mayank Agarwal can't bat against it. We didn't know what we were going to do. Mayank looked like he was beaten for pace. That was the chat. The conversation every time we lose abroad, and we've lost for years abroad. We've been bowled out for 100 in Durban and 66 in the second innings in 1996. And I keep going back to that because those scars are still fresh in my head. That's on day 2 of a test match that India is being bowled out for 100 runs with Sachin Tendulkar in that game. We've scored a sum total of 166 runs, but none of this chat has happened that the pitch was bad. The issue is we can't play fast bowling, we can't play bounce, we can't play seam, we can't play swing. Indians are scared. I mean, why can't we admit? Okay, coming to the English batting, and again, to be fair, the criticism has come from the English media. The English players have been very decent about it. Joe Root has made some veiled comments, but nothing direct. So respect to them for that. They'll be hurting all of that. But I mean, the point always remains with these kind of situations that the media climbs all over the Indian pitches and the Indian curators. Why are you expecting for a flat pitch to be laid out for you in India? You're going to get turning tracks. Why you don't have the ability to adapt to play on those tracks? Yes, you won in Sri Lanka, right? But who were you playing there? You were not playing Ravi Ashwin and Akshar Patel. You were playing Embledon, and even he was running through your batsmen, most of them, other than Joe Root. So those were first class matches. So you cannot compare those games with these games. The class of attack is completely different. And I mean, India have outclassed these players on tough tracks. Again, no one is saying that it was a perfect pitch. I got some tweets saying this was a good pitch. It was not a good pitch. It was a below average to poor pitch. And I agree with that, but it was not a dangerous pitch. People could have scored runs on it. The issue was, even in this game, we scored 145. Man, I'm sounding like one of these.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, I'm
DJ, do you
sounding like one
need
of these news anchors.
do you need one of us to take over hosting duties for 3 or 4 minutes while you take a deep breath and get a
I
glass
don't
of water?
know.
This
I
is
I
like really
feel
fired up stuff.
I feel so angry about this. I mean, I'm just like, I can't even remember what we were talking about. But when we're talking about this, we're not talking about the English batsman's technique and how they should adapt to play spin. We are talking about how bad the pitch is. And that's just inappropriate. And you've not adapted to it. You've scored 112 runs in the first innings and 81 in the second. Joe Root is taking wickets, fine. Pitch is turning. Anyway, anything else, guys, that we want to talk about the pitch? We've talked about a bias against turning pitches. Of course, England um, lost the game, but I want to come to the next point, which is how the pitch should be rated. Right, the ICC has a set of pitch standards where you go very good, good, average, below average, poor, and unfit. Unfit is dangerous for playing. This was not the case. Where would you guys rank this pitch? Ashwin, I'm going to come to you first on this.
Yeah, honestly, you read through all the rules, and I think somebody posted it on our Discord, and there was chat about it. I think it's somewhere between average and poor. So if that ranking is below average, that's probably where I would net out on this. Certainly not unfit, probably not poor for me either, but definitely not average or above. So probably below average is where I net out.
Varun, where would you come out on the pitch rating? Where
Yeah,
would you put that?
I think pretty simple for me, DJ. Same, below average. I would put it as that. It was not poor. I mean, again, I'm reiterating. India won by 10 wickets. That means we did score some runs on day 2 without losing a wicket. So I think people applied themselves. I personally am really glad that India had the collapse as well, because if India had gone on to make 300 and won by an innings and some number of runs, I can't even imagine what the chatter would have been then. So it was good to see that Indian batsmen came out. Rohit Sharma and Gill applied themselves. I think it was a shock for everyone. The batsmen just weren't understanding what to do, but we were able to adapt faster.
And I'm just going to read out from the ICC pitch guidance before we go to see a strategic timeout. All pitches will be judged on how they play, although the rating can also be positively influenced by the quality of the contest and of the individual performances produced during the match. So, what you're basically saying is that a bad pitch can be positively influenced by the individual performance. And now, this is in the guidance to the ICC pitch standards, which lots of people don't read. But being a lawyer, I went into the actual ICC website and started reading the annexes to it. Are we then saying that a bad performance by players negatively influences the rating of the pitch? which, or are we saying that it does not at all influence the rating of the pitch? Ashwin, you've got probably more legal tendencies than Varun, so I'm going to ask you this question and then we go to break.
So are you saying I have illegal tendencies?
Uh,
Less legal tendencies.
I don't. But why do I have legal tendencies, Bharat? And I basically do the same kind of job for a living. So where did my legal
No, I
tendencies
think
come in?
you're more interested in the legalities and technicalities of this sort
Yeah,
of
I'm
stuff.
like, bhai, agla match kab shuru ho raha hai? What time
Why?
is toss?
Basically, he's saying I'm the nerd, you're the funny guy on this show. Those are the roles we've been assigned. It's weird, honestly, DJ. I had no idea that they would say that, but that the player performance could impact the pitch rating. I think that's probably a little bit of that gray area they give themselves to adjust for just the science of did it break and did it bounce or did it spin 5 degrees more than the previous 5% more in terms of degrees versus just was it playable. And playable is a subjective term, right? It's not scientifically measurable. And so that's where they give the match referees and the ICC basically the I guess the leeway or enough breathing room to assess subjectively more than just scientifically. So it's weird, but I understand it. That's the extent of my legal tendencies, I guess.
So I guess the question is, if you play badly on that pitch, does the rating stay the same or does it go down? Because the justification for rating the pitch badly is that India did not score runs on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. Does the flip side apply? If there's a really poor pitch, but teams have a phenomenal day and work really hard and play some of the best cricket they've ever played, both batsmen and bowlers, and still and manage to make a match out of it, does the rating go up? Then it shouldn't,
So
because the
that
pitch was
does
still
go up.
poor.
That does go up.
Yeah,
They're saying
it's
that's
weird.
what
I'm
the
not a fan of
guidance
that.
actually says in it. So
Yeah.
interesting point. But we'll come back after the Seattle strategic timeout. I think I need to go and get myself a glass of water, calm down a little bit. We will come down, talk about the pink ball, the lacquer. We'll be talking about the next test match. We will be talking about Kohli's captaincy as well. I mean, it's been great. But guys, we will be back after the Seattle strategic timeout, and we will see you after this break. We good to go again, guys. I think I've had a sip of water.
Let's
I'm
jump in.
feeling calmer
We're
now.
still live on YouTube, so you might as well.
Awesome. Awesome. I don't know, man. It's really built up. Anyway, guys, welcome back from that Seattle strategic timeout. And you're still here with the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. We've had a pretty heated first session, I would say, and into the next session, man. And there's still so much to talk about this 2-day test match, which I find pretty fascinating. Varun briefly mentioned 21 of the 30 wickets were to straight balls. Right. So I'm going to go Varun on this one first. Well, there's the argument, I suppose, that is made that the straight ball becomes more dangerous on a turning track because the batsman is playing for the turn. But if it comes straight on, they're going to miss it. And there were lots of LBWs. There was a few DRS referrals, which is another point I want to talk about a little bit later. But how much has this pink ball affected the straight ball dismissals? Because the whole argument now is that the ball skid on more. I think Joe Root mentioned it. Virat Kohli mentioned it. Freddie Wild has a great thread on Twitter. I think Jared Kimber has written about it. Um, this pink ball, what has it done to this test match? Has it accelerated the test match in a way?
I mean, I'm no expert on pink ball cricket, but if your captains of the two teams have come out and said that, it clearly does play a part. I still do believe, DJ, that a lot of the pink ball test is in your mind for a player. Um, I saw Johnny Bairstow when he came out on the second ball of the innings for for England, and he just looked perplexed, man. He was like, "Is the ball gonna turn? Is it gonna go straight? What line should I play?" The first ball, he was, I think, given out that it was a review. He was not out. Then they thought, okay, you know what? He's going to quickly learn from this and adapt. Next ball, he got bowled. So the point is, I think there was too much going on in the batsman's mind. I feel like this test was so short that they didn't even have enough time to regroup, right? Because what usually would happen in this situation is you'll go back, you'll talk about it, you'll watch videos, you'll discuss as a team what do we need to do. Everything happened so fast that there was probably no time to discuss, to adapt, to be agile, to quickly understand what was happening. So it was a weird thing. I mean, honestly, DJ, I planned tennis on Wednesday and Thursday night, my time, Singapore. So I was going in and between every set that we were playing, there was 6 wickets being lost every time I checked the phone. So I was in a little bit of shock. I couldn't watch everything happen, and it just happened too quickly. So I think it came down to the fact that India's bowlers knew how to exploit the conditions better, because the batting on both sides was pretty average.
Yeah,
And I
DJ, I'm
think
gonna hit
the
a couple of the comments really quickly if you don't mind, because some of the so
yeah, yeah.
Nandan says Johnny be good, bagged a pair. I also read Johnny Persto. Persto's a really good one for me because of the double duck, so that was nice. There seems to be an argument going on between a couple of people in the comments about whether we should have created a more favorable pitch. So I'm gonna ignore that because we're done with our pitch conversation. But generally, Amit says DJ is my spirit animal, so he's obviously you've personified the rant that has been going on in his head for the last little bit. Comment from KO about Hazelwood and bowling a fantastic spell for 36, but nobody talking about the fantastic spell we bowled here to get them out. And just lots of great conversation. So keep it coming, guys. Keep the engagement up in the chat for live. DJ, back to you.
Yeah, awesome. And Ashwin, I want to talk to you about the fantastic bowling by Akshar Patel, man. We talked about Persto. Persto, I think, exemplified for me the harakiri that was going on in the English batsmen's minds. He played 3 balls of spin in this entire test match, and he's supposed to be the amazing player of spin, imported specially for this. Apparently, he had a 8-hour bus ride or something from some whatever wherever he landed. Which, I mean, apparently they couldn't even stop for bathroom breaks and stuff. So pretty amusing situation. He comes in and he scores a pair, and he plays 3 balls of spin, out in the first innings LBW, given out in the second innings LBW to give Akshar Patel or Aksar Patel, however you want to call him, and a hat trick, which was then taken away on referral. And on the next ball, he's bowled through the gate. I mean, so we were talking about the pink ball, but Ashwin, Akshar Patel with the pink ball, he was holding it with the horizontal seam, and that was causing it to skid even more apparently. So, talk me through Akshar Patel and how he's used these conditions to his effect. I mean, 11 wickets in the game, man. I know he missed out on the Seat Award last week because, I mean, Ravichandran Ashwin, genius. But are we going to give him a Seat Award this week?
Yeah, we will. I want to really quickly because Varun got credit for his jokes last week. You're getting credit for punts. So I feel like I have to come up with something. And the only thing that came to mind is with Persto, the reason he got out was for his lack of footwork, or you can say it differently, Pero ka istemal nahi kiya, right? Persto. We can make that work.
Nice.
If you like that one, give me
That
a
was
shout in
Well
the
done.
comments.
terrible. That was terrible.
Have to try, man.
That was
Johnny Per.
trying too
Encourage
hard.
younger
Johnny
brother.
didn't
What
use
is
his
this,
pair.
Varun? What is this behavior?
Very poor.
Varun
I'm doing
doesn't
my
like this
best.
competition. He wants to be the
Next,
funny guy on the show.
yeah, next week, can you
I
pre-write
am the
the
funny
jokes and
guy
send them
of
to
the
me?
show. I don't need to or want to.
Okay, I know that there are guys, Nandan, Dhaval, Shrikar, Amit, somebody will appreciate my joke. Please give me one shout out in the comments. I feel like that guy begging for likes. But anyway, yeah, I mean, just like we said, Hazelwood 36 got credit for when we got 36 all out, he got credit for the spell. You got to give credit to Akshar Patel, right? So we are going to give him this week's SIAT Award of the Week. And Varun and I were trying to brainstorm, come up with something a little different. And another thing that's important in tires is grip, right? And so Akshar's bowling his spell was an absolute gripping spell, right? So he wins the first SIAT player of the week for his 11 wickets in the match. I mean, the joke has all been like the Test cricket is easy for Akshar Patel, right? Just managed to bowl consistently. Like I said, how can you keep coming up and consistently pick up 5-4s? He's got 3 5-4s in his first 4 innings with the ball. So like I said, hasn't batted well, but I mean, you take this guy in your side as a pure bowler in these conditions. So, hey, he's not the curator. He didn't make the pitch, but he played with the conditions he was handed. And that makes his performance the gripping performance of the week. Akshar Patel, the SIAT gripping player of the week.
Amazing. The Seat gripping performance of the week. I absolutely love it. And we're talking about pitches and stuff, of course. Varun, we talked a little bit about the ICC's rating and stuff, but did you feel that this was a fair contest between bat and ball with the pink ball and the pitch and basically the England's batsmen's inability to play spin?
I mean, it's a fair game, right? Like that's why I keep saying we won by 10 wickets. It was a fair game. There was nothing not fair about it. They just didn't adapt. They didn't. They just could. India just bowled better. I think I do want to say, like we're not talking about it yet, but India played extremely poorly in the first innings. With Virat Kohli being there, 99 for three when they started. Suddenly you're seeing that, the casual shot from Rahane. You're seeing, Pant had no idea what was happening. Ashwin, Sundar, Akshar. We talked about this being a great batting lineup. Everyone just got out. So it's that collapse that felt all too familiar for us. And at that point, I was like fuming while watching India get out like that. I was like, this is unbelievable. And at my house, there's a rule, right? That the TV, nothing happens on the TV when Rishabh Pant is on, and no conversation, nobody moves, nothing when he's batting. And so I sat down, I said, this is going to be a nice 1 2 hour session for me. And within 5 minutes, the whole team wrapped up. So I have to say that collapse was terrible. And yeah.
Yeah, and that's a perfect segue into what I was saying. While they were collapsing, Ashwin, I know you were asleep. You woke up to see that collapse. But again, our discourse was not that it's a bad pitch. We were saying, we tweeted it, and the tweet is out there, which says, we played 1 hour of bad cricket, which is what we would have said, right? We weren't saying that the pitch is turning too much. We are criticizing Rishabh Pant. You played away from your bat. You're criticizing Sundar. Oh, you didn't cover the line. You're criticizing Akshar to step out and hit. Why did you do that? But that's what we do. I mean, we don't look for excuses, but everything that's outside your control seemed to be what the English pundits were saying. Either it's the toss, or it's the pitch, or it's the umpiring, right? And that's the next thing I want to come to on that. Ashwin, what did you make of the criticism on the third umpire not taking his time to make decisions? England actually made a complaint to the match referee, Jawahar Srinath, after the first day. And I think the incident that sparked it was the Ben Stokes catch, which seemed to hit the ground. Talk me through that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And I'm sorry, I'm laughing because there's some good comments, but I'll hit them at the end of the response to your question. The the umpiring has not been great in general, let's say for the last 6 months or so, right? Whether you call it, and across all series, right? Whether you call it them being rusty, whether you call it pressure of being home umpires, which is not normal, etc. So let's put that out there. It hasn't been great. The Ben Stokes catch in particular, that was a complete, pardon my language, complete asshole move. He should not have claimed that catch. It was nowhere near claimed. He was sticking his index finger out as though his index finger is like 7, 10, 8, 9, 10 inches long, that it could have gone under the ball and wrapped around it and picked it up from off the ground. He dropped it. He knew he dropped it. Ricky Ponting has done it before where he claimed a catch and tried to signal. Back when Ricky did it, we didn't have as many camera angles and an as HD. When Stokes did it, it dropped. Fine. Let's argue maybe he didn't know for sure. And he sort of said, I'm not sure. Let's go take a look. The first replay I saw immediately. And yes, I acknowledge there's inherent bias when I'm watching a decision that goes against India versus for India. Fine, right? Take the bias aside. The first replay you saw, he grabbed it, he did catch it, and then the ball dropped on the ground and it dragged along the ground and he scooped it back up. Come to the argument. The argument is the right decision was, no, I don't think anybody's saying it was a wrong decision. I haven't seen that yet, at least. The argument I'm hearing is the right decision was reached, but he should have taken more time and looked at more camera angles. I can see the merit to that. The ICC probably needs to write in a law that says, like the LBW laws are pretty clear. It doesn't matter what's happening. You look at the first available technology, which is usually Ultra Edge or SNCO. Then if available, you look at Hotspot. Then you look at Hawkeye and you make that decision. Now, there was one instance when we couldn't tell if it hit the edge or not. The conversation was like, look at Hawkeye at least. Let's see if it wasn't going on to hit the wicket. You're wasting time anyway with the edge. Did it hit the edge or not? That's not how the laws are written. The umpire has to follow the process. He has to go. Once he does not look at Hawkeye until he's determined there was no bat involved. Same thing should apply for then reviewing catches, right? You have to look at least 3 camera angles. You have to zoom in at least once, and then you have to make your decision. It's not how it's written today. It looked pretty obviously out to me. So I'm fine with the way the umpire did it. I understand the frustration from the English fans that it looked like it may have come off as biased, but the right decision was reached. This is typically more of a stressful conversation when they don't get the right decision. Can I wrap up by quickly saying?
On-field.
Can I just wrap up by quickly saying at least 4 people have given me shout outs? There's one negative comment, but thank you for the general shout outs. And Shrikar says, "Come on, Ash, come on, Ash." I feel like I need to go to work tomorrow and tell my boss and people around, like, that is the new bar for when somebody wants to just give me some positive feedback. I'm not accepting anything anymore other than "Come on, Ash," because that's the right line for me.
Come on, Ash. Just to wrap up on the umpiring point, I mean, I think the on-field umpiring has actually been very, very good. The third umpire has come under little scrutiny. There was those incidents in the second Test match where he didn't run the replay on. There was also the no shot offered with Rohit, where it was going on to hit the stumps. But I almost thought that complaint after day one, Varun, and I'm going to come to you on this, did it influence the next decision that the third umpire was asked to make, where Joe Root himself, the captain who'd complained against the third umpire not taking enough time, gets a really close decision, which is you're not able to really say whether it's pad, bat, pad, bat, pad, pad, bat, bad. I don't know, bad, but it's
I,
given out
can
on
somebody take
screen.
that clip and like make it into a beat and auto tune it? The pad, bad, 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 bad.
Like the Boris Johnson clip. Testing, tracing, tracing, testing. Anyway, so he's given it out on field. It's impossible to tell from the replays whether it's hit his pad first or his bat first. But the on-field decision is out. And it's Joe Root. It's the day after the complaint has come in, the official complaint to the match referee, and it's been overturned. Varun, was there conclusive evidence of that being not out for it to be overturned, or was there influence exerted by that complaint by Silverwood and Root the night before?
Dude, I'm gonna have to ask you this question because I wasn't watching that part.
So I think you've nicely jumped off the wall. Ashwin, did you watch this in the replays or did you not?
Yeah, I watched it. I couldn't tell, man. I looked over and over and over again at that clip. I couldn't tell if it hit pad first or bat first. It was not clear enough. The challenge again with this freaking on-field call is always, and the same applies to soft signals for a catch, anything. How is the umpire on field making a soft signal? Based on what are they saying?
But it's not a soft signal. It's out. He's given it out.
In this case, it was out, correct. But yeah, the India fan in me says very clearly there was not enough conclusive evidence to quote unquote overturn, which is true. I get it for sure played in. The complaint for sure played in where, we all put these people on a pedestal and we scrutinize everything they do, but they're all human, right? And so if you make a decision and get told, hey, you should have looked at more views. I think he looked for like 7 minutes at the Joe Root replays. He's like, you want me to look at more camera?
He was told to take more time, right?
Yeah, I take all the time I need. There's no limit on the time. The captain has to choose if they're going for DRS in 15 seconds. There's no such limit on the umpire. Take all the time. And he did. And, fortunately it didn't. What
he went and had some kakra and all in the middle and then came back.
Yeah, the producer, the porter, also, if you could call my joke terrible, I could call that one pretty terrible. That was weak. But it definitely played.
Luckily, we're not a comedy podcast, just to put it out there. We wouldn't cut it with that. But okay, let's talk about spinners' performances, right? We had the Ashwin presser, and I think he had enough of being told his wickets aren't worth the wickets of seamers, right? That's what I took away from that. You tell me where I've taken 10 wickets, but actually, if it was a seamer, it was only worth 3 wickets. Ashwin, do we devalue spinners' performances by talking about pitches after these games? Where Akshar's taken 11 wickets, but then the whole argument is, Joe Root took 5 wickets, so obviously those wickets aren't worth anything. I mean, what kind of logic is that?
Yeah, we devalue spinner wickets when they're taken in India or in South Asia. And that's the truth, right? You can look, we've done this before on the show. You can look at Jimmy and what his percentage of wickets at home, and it's stupidly high, right? So, but very, very few people say Jimmy Anderson's not a great because most of his wickets come in England. And we look at Ashwin, and to the extent we look at Muralitharan and say, yeah, but most of the wickets come in South Asia. It's ridiculous. There is a double standard. There is incredible amount of bias. And yeah, unfortunately, Joe Root getting 5 wickets allowed for an excuse out there, but India, he bowled well. He was consistent, and India batted badly. To your point, we were disappointed with them playing the wrong lines. That's it. Give him credit. He bowled well.
Varun, let's talk through Joe Root's performance, right? I mean, he's a part-timer, but he actually bowled well. I mean, I can't fault. He didn't bowl a single long up or a full toss. I mean, you could almost argue he bowled better than Tom Bess in the first Test match.
Yeah, and that's why, I mean, good cue, DJ, for me. But I think I was going to say that basically we've talked a lot about Ashwin being the reliable player, but for me this week, our Seat Secure Drive Player of the Week is Joe Root, because the control, the confidence, I think it was absolutely amazing. Like, for me to come out and say this about a part-time bowler who doesn't even bowl in every test match, I think I was really, really happy with Joe Root's performance. He, like you said, didn't bowl any ball in the wrong areas. He got 5 wickets, and at one point, I think he hadn't given a single run for 3 or 4 overs. India were not able to read him. They were not able to understand what's going on. And yeah, and for me, I think the moment that clinched it was really when Joe Root opened the bowling in the second innings. You got Archer, Anderson, and Broad standing around, and Joe Root has said, "I'm taking the new ball," and he started bowling. So he's my Seat Secure Drive Player of the Week this week.
Amazing. Poor Akshar misses out this week after his 11 wickets. He took 7 wickets on debut last week. So this is Joe Root's second award. He's won the Seat Secure Drive Player of the Week for the second time in a row. Interesting. At least the England team took something from this game, right? We're nice like that. So let's give Joe Root the award this week. And I mean, to be fair, he did bowl with immense control. And I mean, you could almost argue that they will go in with a similar attack in the fourth test match. But I just want to talk about two small things very quickly before we get to the preview of that fourth test match and the giveaway and stuff. Ashwin, were these two tracks, Chennai and Ahmedabad, prepared by design? Did India ask for these test matches, or was it inexperience on part of the curators that this came out of? Because Chennai, new curator, Ahmedabad, completely new stadium, brilliant stadium as well, 55,000 people in there screaming. It was brilliant. I mean, at the match presentation, just the sound was so great to hear. But were these by design, or were these by accident a little bit, by the inexperience of the curators?
I mean, I think a little bit of both. I think the message would have been spin friendly, right? I don't think the message would have been start the top of the pitch start breaking apart on day one, on like session one of day one, right? So I think the short answer is a little bit of both. I'm glad that the message, hopefully, to the curators was let's create tracks that favor Ashwin. He's one of the, some people are saying the best finger spinner ever, maybe, because you put Muralitharan, even though he's off spin as wrist. So yeah, the message absolutely should have been to the curators, prepare spin friendly wicket. I think the inexperience is where they became, like I said, they started breaking up on day one.
Varun, I want to talk to you about Ravichandran Ashwin's performance this game. Of course, the ball to get Ollie Pope was brilliant. He's consistently brilliant. But Varun, he is the only spinner in the ICC top 10 bowlers, test bowlers. One spinner, right? I mean, you've got Mitchell Stark in there, you've got Tim Southey in there, all good bowlers. But Ashwin's not even top of that tree. Are we killing spin by having discussions like this? I mean, about pitches and devaluing their wickets and all of that. I mean, isn't it shocking to you to find out there's one spinner in the top 10?
Yeah, I was shocked. In fact, when DJ, you put out that tweet and said that he's the only spinner, I actually stood up when I read that and zoomed in, and I had to think about it, that how is this possible? In fact, did you guys read what Nathan Lyon had to say about the curator and the pitch, where he said that I want to get this curator to, I'm thinking about bringing this curator to the SCG because it was absolutely brilliant. So I think from one spinner to the other, they're probably backing each other. They're saying, let's go for it. Because I think I could not believe that 9 out of 10 in the ICC top 10 test bowlers were seamers. I cannot remember the last time that may have happened in the era of Kumble, Warren, Murli. I'm pretty sure these three were in the top 10 at all times, among others. So it was really freaky for me to see that. And yeah, I mean, kudos to Lion for standing up for him.
Yeah, and Lyon, just for the record, not just stood up for him, but he said, we play on seaming wickets all around the world and get bowled out for 47, 60. Nobody ever says a thing. But as soon as it starts spinning, everyone in the world seems to start crying about it. And so that's sort of what we've been saying the whole show. Lyon just did it in 2 sentences and it took us an hour to get through it.
And a lot of ranting. And I mean, for me, it was actually a perfect storm of a lot of factors. A below average pitch, I'm not denying that. Below average, too poor. We may get a demerit point, but it doesn't affect the WTC rankings because it's only if it's a pitch is unfit and dangerous that the points can be deducted. But it was a perfect storm of a below average pitch, poor batting by both sides. And let's emphasize that England as well, remember, don't play red ball cricket in the summer months. They only play white ball cricket in the summer months in their domestic season. They play on seaming tracks in April and May and at the end of the season. So where are you ever going to learn how to play against spin? Do you even care to learn how to play against spin? Do you come here on Lions tours to play against Indian spinners? No, you go to Australia to play club cricket. Does anyone go to India to play club cricket? We go to play county championship because the whole narrative is we need to win abroad. If you care about winning in India, send your players here to play. Learn how to play spin. That's what Kevin Peterson has been going on about. The English batsmen don't know how to play spin. They don't use their feet. And if the sweep shot isn't coming off, which it didn't, we saw Johnny Bairstow just sweeping blindly. You have no get out of jail option. So I think it was a perfect storm of that, plus the ball, plus the pitch. I mean, all of these factors have contributed towards England losing badly. Um, but I think enough about the pitch, enough about the third test match. India is 2-1 up, right? And it's brilliant. I mean, it's brought out a brilliant series. Everybody's got their eyes on test cricket again. Let's talk about the fourth test match. The context, it's set up beautifully. India, if they draw this test match, go through to the World Test Championship final. Ashwin, what pitch are we going to roll out for this fourth test match? Because remember, a draw is enough for India to make it to the World Test Championship final in June.
Yeah, so the initial conversations as of this morning, and I haven't caught up on all the news because we record early morning my time, but the initial conversations seem to be India looks like they're planning a flat pitch. I don't know whether that means because we're okay with the draw or partly because of the criticism and nobody wants to, whether or not the pitch was great, nobody wants 2-day matches, etc. So I think it'll be I think it'll be flatter than the third test wicket was, probably better for batting than the third test wicket was, probably not so flat that we risk the first test match type of a pitch in Chennai where England put up 550 plus and then were batted out of the game. And so I'm expecting still a pretty spin friendly wicket. Also, there's only so much they can do in the 4 or 5 days, right? They don't have that much time to recreate from scratch. So I'm expecting pretty spin friendly, flatter, and better to bat on than the third test.
And Varun, we've left Bumrah out of this game. I know he was resting on the field in the third test match, but what does that tell you about the pitch that we're going to lay out? It's not going to favor the seamers.
Yeah, it's probably not. I mean, the fact that Bumrah is leaving and going off for personal reasons, I'm sure he has his reasons to leave. But to me, it just signals that I think India is it's probably going to be exactly what Ashwin said, slightly spinning, but still flatten up for batsmen to score some runs. And so, honestly, I don't want our number one fast bowler to play in that game. So I'm actually quite okay with this. I'm happy his workload management, but I don't want to be in a situation where either he's sitting on the or standing on the boundary rope for 30, 40, 50 overs, or that he's bowling his like heart out and getting hit for 500 runs. So I'm actually okay with that decision.
I actually think we're going to give them another turning wicket. Just because we're in their minds, we're in England's batsmen's minds. Akshar and Ashwin are miles ahead of the English bowlers. There's a little bit of risk. We must always remember India have taken a gamble by bringing England into this game. It may backfire. It backfired in Pune a few years ago, right? Against Australia, where substandard spinner uh, Stephen O'Keefe took all those wickets against us, and it may backfire. But I can't see this team led by King Kohli taking their foot off England's throat here. There's going to be more spin. It's going to be vicious. And if it gets over in 2 days, Kohli will say, "See you at Lord's, buddy." So, in summary, guys, I think the pitch is only as good as the cricket that's played on it. And that's the wrap for the third test match. It's been emotional again. And I actually quite like doing this live because the emotion really does come through in it. But the two more things that we want to quickly talk about, and that is the Bat with Siat giveaway for February ends today. And I am very, very pleased to announce that we do have a winner of that giveaway. So the lucky winner of the Siat bat is, and I am just bringing up his name. It is Karthik Sura at the rate of Sura Karthik. And his tweet was, before England, India lost to Pakistan in Chennai. the MH Chidambaram Stadium in 1999. The Chennai crowd is dearly remembered for the way they applauded with a standing ovation the Pakistan team for their hard fought win in this match. Hashtag bat with Siat at the rate of one tip, one hand. So many congratulations, Karthik, on winning a Siat cricket bat. And for the month of March, we have a really excellent question because, I mean, this could almost become the Ravichandran Ashwin show while we're playing at home, right? I mean, he's won the award a couple of times. And the question is, we all know that Ashwin's passed 400 wickets in this test match. He's got there in 77 test matches. The question for the month of March, the hashtag bat with Siat giveaway question is, who has got there quicker than Ravi Ashwin? Tell us the name of the bowler and the number of test matches he took to get to 400 test wickets. Write into us in public on Twitter using the hashtag #BatWithSiat. And that's a wrap on this live podcast. It has been a pleasure speaking to you, gentlemen. I'm sorry if it was overly emotional in some cases, but I mean, that's the way it goes a little bit sometimes, guys. You do really bring out the best emotion and jokes in me. Um, the last thing is, you can always write into us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at the rate of one tip, one hand. Write in at contact@onetiponehand.com. And we will be back with a very, very special guest on the 8th of March, the last day of this test series, to wrap the entire test series. We can drop a little hint that's an ex England spin bowler. It's not Monty. We've had him on before. It's not Graham Swan as well, but we will announce the name of the guest in due course. But gentlemen, as always, a pleasure speaking to you on Edges and Sledges. Thank you, everyone who's joined live and put the awesome comments in. Congratulations to the winner of the hashtag Bat with Siat giveaway. Enjoy your cricket bat. Send us a picture with you playing one tip, one hand with it. And we will see you on our next episode. Until then, this is Edges and Sledges brought to you by Siat Tires. Drive safe.